This episode contains content that may not be suitable for children or other impressionable individuals. Viewer discretion is advised.
At the end of the day, we're just girls who love Jesus.
Hello everybody, welcome to the first episode of Operation Wildcard, our podcast. I'm your host, Kira.
And I'm your host, Jaedyn. On
Yes.
this podcast, we cover everything and anything pop culture from a Christian perspective.
Yep, and what more fun thing are we going to talk about in pop culture than anime?
Yes, it's a very controversial subject in the Christian world.
Yeah.
Yeah, not many people are fond of it.
Well, I know one of my, bigger catchphrases, not towards Jaedyn, because Jaedyn, well, you could tell them, Jaedyn really likes certain animes.
Yes, I am an anime fan, but I do apply discernment. I pray, guys, I pray. Don't worry.
But one of my catchphrases a lot is when somebody's talking about anime, I will just say, I hate anime.
Yeah.
It just happens to be like, oh, I hate anime. And I don't like saying that, because it's overgeneralizing. I do like some animes. I like 2,
you
3.
Okay, they're not real animes. They're not real animes.
Apparently. They're not popular animes.
Well, yeah,
anyway.
they technically are animes, but, are they official? I
Japanese cartoons.
Technically.
Okay. Well, we're going to actually be taking a look at some very interesting concepts in anime, but first, we're going to talk a little bit about our background. I think the first time, well, excluding Dragon Ball Z.
Yes.
Because when I was little, my dad really liked Dragon Ball Z. And a few other, Dragon Ball and Pokemon were probably the ones that I grew up seeing the most. And then my next exposure to anime was probably around, the 4th or 5th grade. And I learned a little bit more about different animes. But I kind of knew it was something I wasn't supposed to touch. Certain ones, anyway. And I didn't even really know why. I could just, it wasn't the art style alone. I could just kind of tell. What about you?
Yeah, my family, my mom hates anime. She hates anime. My dad, he grew up, watching Pokemon and stuff like that. His parents were much more lenient on things. And so we really only grew up watching, Pokemon, or, Digimon, which...
I remember that,
Digimon,
too.
Bakugan, just all the eons, all that stuff. But the first, real anime I ever watched was called K-On! And it was on Netflix. It's actually pretty good. I would recommend. It's clean, guys. But, the first, official, real anime that I ever watched was My Hero Academia. Which I know, look, guys, I know. There's a lot of hate. The fandom isn't great, alright? I acknowledge that. But the show is fine. Mostly.
We're not talking about My Hero Academia today.
Yeah, no. My Hero Academia is not a problematic, typically.
In
Anyway.
Jaedyn's opinion.
But the first, official anime I ever watched was My Hero Academia, and it was, during COVID, and I've just been an increasing, anime fan since then. I'm not a weeb.
Yeah.
Weeb is where we get into concerning territory. I don't do cosplay because I think that's creepy. I'm gonna be completely honest.
A lot of it is really creepy.
There's gotta be something. It feels like it's inappropriate. I'm gonna be
so much of it.
It's you
scary.
get a weird.
Yeah.
I'm sure there are people who do it for costume design.
Yeah.
Or just Halloween kind of stuff. But not Halloween, but they do it for
the same innocent fun of dressing up.
Yeah. But in general, I don't find that to be quite fun or interesting. I find it's kind of concerning in my eyes.
Yeah, that's interesting that you mentioned that. When I was in the 4th grade, that was my first exposure to the idea of cosplay.
Mm-hmm.
Because it was either the beginning of that year or the year before that I had gotten, I think it was the very end of 3rd grade that I got my first account on Musical.ly. It was 2018, or it might have been 2017. Either between those. And one of the really big hashtags was cosplay. And I remember seeing, a lot of that kind of being oh, I guess it's interesting, But I still felt that same feeling. Like, it was maybe something you don't want to look too far into, because there was a lot of odd, like, I didn't have the word sexual behavior for that at that age, but I could tell it was, like, kind of weird. And in the 4th grade, I had a friend who started getting really into cosplay, and I'm pretty sure she got that just through Musically, and, like, other online sites. She was really into, Amino, which we know that was kind of, I don't know if you know anything about that, but that was problematic.
Yeah. It's definitely, cosplay is concerning. I've never been to a con or anything like that. I don't want to, I want to be a voice actor, but I don't, like, want to go as, like, like that.
They're very far.
Yes, it goes, there are limits, guys.
Yeah.
Because my mom hates anime, and my dad's much, like, more lenient on it. Like, we're allowed to watch it because my mom trusts my dad.
Yeah.
And she also, like, trusts us to be able to, make wise decisions. And anime is such a, like, what's the word, controversial topic in Christianity, because, like, there's a lot of dark avenues that you can go down.
Well, the reputation that it has really isn't good. But we're going to talk a little bit about if that's the fault of the media, or if it is just, like, a stigma. And, I mean, through research and just through personal experience, we've found, like, it's in a lot of the media.
There are dark roads.
Most of it is true. Most bad things you hear about anime is going to be pretty true.
Yes. But because me and Kira come from very different, not super different perspectives.
Yeah.
Like, I am an anime fan. She is not really.
No. But I have been to conventions. I mean, if you haven't been to any cons, I've been to more than you have. But not for anime. That's not for other things.
Yeah, you really like, what is that show?
The one that I went
Invaders
to the con for? Yes.
Yeah.
I met the creator from Invaders Zim.
Isn't it like an adult cartoon? Isn't this essentially the same thing?
No. Because it was for a child audience, and, like, all the concepts are very childlike. It was on Nickelodeon.
Oh, yeah. Maybe Invaders Zim has just gotten worse over time.
The fans are horrible. That show gets a really bad rap.
That right there. The fan base of animes is like a major contributor to the problem. Like, animes themselves can be great, but the fan bases can be complete and utter garbage. Mm-hmm. And do horrible, heinous things.
Yeah, I never watched My Hero Academia, and I always thought all the characters were gay. Just because of the
fan base. The fan base is like, oh my gosh, Deku, Bakugo, all this.
Yeah, I thought they were dating.
It's so bad. The fan base is horrible. But there are much worse fan bases. The fan base is awful, though. But My Hero Academia itself is great, like, in my opinion. Like, it has definitely combined the worlds of comics and anime, like superhero comics and anime. And it was good for that. I think it changed the view of anime in some sense.
That's kind of how it was for me with more artistic animes, because I know like ones that I'll always go back to don't really have any, because we're going to talk a lot about magic and Gnosticism. They don't have those, and they're not, like, insanely overtly sexual, because we see that a lot too. There's just so much, and it's just gross.
It is.
There's no reason
unnecessary, to be honest.
And it's not a culture thing either.
It's not. No, it's not. That's an Americanized thing right there.
Yeah,
no. But yeah, so I think for me it's important to discuss this partly because I want to be a voice actor, and that's because of anime. Like, I primarily want to work in the field of anime because of, like, God used it to help me. And I like, because Christianity, there's a fine line between religion and faith. Mm-hmm. Christianity is a faith, not a religion.
Yeah.
It is classified as a religion, but it's a faith. And people, they become super judgmental. They're like, oh my gosh, if you watch anime, you're a horrible Christian, you're going to hell. And I'm not saying, look, listen to God. Listen to God more than you listen to us or any other person. Mm-hmm. If God is convicting you, if you don't feel like you should watch anime, if you think that it's wrong, then don't watch it. Mm-hmm. But people's convictions are different. And people are in different stages in their life. I went through a phase where I felt convicted about watching anime. Yeah. Not because I was watching, like, bad things.
No,
because
but
I've always been very good about being like discerning, because it's very important to me that, well, yes, I enjoy these things. God is first, and I always want to make sure that I'm honoring and glorifying God in the things that I watch.
But a lot of the storylines can get very, like, involved. Like, that's when I notice a lot of people who, like, sit and they just watch hours upon hours of anime because it just sucks them in so much. I see that being a big problem, too. Even if the content in itself isn't a problem, they get very obsessed with just consuming so much. It becomes their whole life.
It becomes very addictive to be.
Yeah.
Like, it becomes like an escape. And that's what it was for me. Like, during COVID, that's when I became a fan. Like, I was in a very dark place, and anime provided, like, an escape where, like, I could be anything, do anything. I could be the main character. I could have my happy ending. I could have friends. I could be a superhero. And ultimately, everything would be okay. Like, that was what I wanted. I wanted somebody to tell me that was going to be okay. And God gave me this passion. I know he did. And he used anime to help me and to ignite this passion in me. And the reason I want to be a voice actor is because I want to help people. There's no other way to no better way to do that than through bringing Jesus. And I want to bring Jesus into that, like, field. Yeah. And I want to, like, help people and do for people what anime did for me through God. Right. There are dark avenues, but it's not all dark and it's not all bad. And there are a lot of, like, great things that can come from it, because there are stories of people, like, who will say, oh my gosh, this show, it helped me keep pushing. It helped me keep fighting. It helped me rekindle my relationship with my parents. It helped me overcome my trauma. It helped me, and I want to do that. I want to help people. I want to bring people to God, to, like, Jesus. I want to represent Christ through everything that I do, including voice acting, and I want to bring that into that field and help people through that. Yeah, because when we think about anime, it's a very broad way, like, it's a huge field of media, but there's not a lot of Christian influence in it. And I think that's just, it's maybe a little bit because of the origins, but also I think we see a lot of similarities in anime that just comes from, like, the appeal to the audience that it's supposed to be serving. Yes. It's just unfortunate. Yes. Back, I don't even know how many years ago, when it originated as extremely sexual, like, to entice an audience, to put it very gently. A lot of it, did. Yes, like, it was very bad, and it was like specifically used for that purpose, and that is why my mother does not like it. I think anime has grown a lot. It has, like, I guess evolved is the word. Yeah. And it's become so much more than that. There are obviously still those avenues, and there are still animes, which we will, be discussing, which do that, as well as various other things like Witchcraft and Gnosticism and such. But it's not, like, it is more than just that now. Yeah. Yeah, that's true. And I think there's also a fine line that makes it a little bit hard. I have had this with some of my family. If you guys, viewers, obviously, you guys don't know unless you know me in person. But I'm aspiring to be a cartoon creator myself. I want to become an animator, and I really like the idea of character design. And when I proposed to, specifically my grandma, we're not going to talk about her right now. That's for another day. Yep, that's for another day. Tune in next time. But she would get concerned at, like, the idea of cartoons and drawing something that wasn't, like, straight up, like, the Disney drawn animation art style, and she'd be like, oh, well, is that anime? Like, no, it's not. But we also, we have to understand the line between, like, culturally influenced art styles and then anime stereotypical features that are put in there for a specific influence, whether it be sexual or mystical, and then just general cartoonism. Because caricatures have been a thing for, I don't know, literally, I'm not going to say forever because I'm not old enough to say that, but longer than anime. Yeah, like, anime, because Christians, religious Christians, because, we all will go through that at some point, like, there's even some skepticism when it comes to, like, fairy tales. Like, you can't, like, Narnia, like, Lord of the Rings. They're, like, those are Christian-inspired works. But they're very much fairy tales. And people are like, oh, you can't watch that. Oh, that's terrible. Oh, you're sinning. I'm like, they're Christian-inspired. You can look, God created the world for us. He wants us to, like, have fun. He is fun.
Mm-hmm.
He's love, he's peace, he's joy. He provides all of those things, and that is really the only way to find those things.
Yeah.
And, he gave us the world and he wants us to enjoy it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a difference between enjoying things in the world and of the world.
Yeah, that's
Like,
true.
you can enjoy the things that are in the world that are not of the world and worldly.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I watch anime. I don't listen to only Christian music.
Mm-hmm.
But I apply discernment to everything.
Mm-hmm.
I don't listen and or watch anything sexual or inappropriate.
Yeah.
Because those aren't honoring and glorifying to God. I stay away from anything and everything spiritual, witchcraft, blasphemous. No, thank you.
Yeah. Or at least we try. Because there's a lot of things I know I used to either look at or listen to.
Yeah,
where I look back at it now, I'm like, oh.
Well, sometimes you don't even know. Like The Little
you don't
Mermaid.
even know
The
it.
Little Mermaid is
Yes.
riddled with witchcraft.
And just so much of the Disney cartoons.
But do I think that it's a sin to watch The Little Mermaid? No. It's like, it's a cartoon.
Yeah, like, I think is it the best option
No,
for showing your children 24/7? No.
Yeah, there are better Disney princess movies.
Yeah.
But
that's true.
Definitely. Mulan, for example.
I loved Mulan.
It's so good, though.
That was my favorite one. Mulan and Aladdin.
Oh, yes, but partly that's because of Robin Williams, to be honest. Also, Rapunzel. I love Rapunzel. Yeah. Those are my top 3, to be honest. Yep. I love them. I also love Jasmine, partly because I think she's just really pretty.
Yeah.
And when I was younger,
I liked her because she was teal. And that's my favorite color, if you guys can't tell.
Yeah, that was my favorite color. When I was younger, I was very much so into what looks prettiest, but I think that's normal for all girls. Like, materialistic, I suppose.
Yeah, I don't remember anything about Aladdin.
Oh, yeah, no. I remember, that's probably my favorite Disney movie, like princess movie, even though it's technically not even a princess movie. It's about Aladdin.
Yeah.
With the side of Jasmine. It's mainly the genie, actually. But again, do I think that those things are sinful to watch? No. No.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think... I can see the wheels in your head turning. I don't think people are going to go to hell for watching The Little Mermaid or Aladdin or Mulan or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Princess and the Frog. Nobody's gonna go to hell for
I'm not.
You should not watch the Princess and the Frog. That is just straight.
I'm not gonna walk up to somebody and be like, "You viewed anime or Disney, so now you're gonna go to hell." Like,
yeah, but
that's not how that works.
If you feel convicted, if it's a stronghold for you, do not watch it. Mm-hmm. Because at the end of the day, it's between you and God. Listen to God. Mm-hmm. If like that, like you can take what we have. You can. Here's the words, Jaedyn. Sorry, guys. You can enjoy something and hear what we're saying and be like, oh, yeah, I agree, generally speaking, but it may not apply to you specifically. Because, again, everybody's relationship with God is different. Everybody's strongholds are different. Everybody's convictions are different. I don't feel convicted about watching anime because, A, I worked through this with God. I had to do my time, guys. And, I'm very careful about the things that I watch because I find it easier to connect with animated characters because I just feel like there's so much more like freedom with what you can do.
Yeah.
And like
that's true.
Especially with like representation, like for disabled people, which they don't do, sadly. And there's so much opportunity.
I know.
It's
like sad.
There's like I feel like the storylines in animated TV are like so good, and I wish. It's hard to find that same stuff in like live action, like normal.
It really is. Storytelling, if you're not like doing it by, drawing and animating your own media, has really gone out the door recently, especially with Netflix. That's a topic for another day, but they're running everything.
Tune in, guys, for that. No, that's terrible. Okay. They're gonna get sick of that. They're like, shut up. We don't want to hear you say tune in. We're not even gonna come back next time. Okay. We don't care. No.
We keep rambling, so we need to get to our topics and talk about specific animes. But yeah.
My bad. Sorry, guys.
Speaking of Dragon Ball, I think we'll maybe touch a little. Well, we'll touch on them at the same time, but more so the topics. And I think one of the biggest things that really bugs me with like a lot of anime, excluding the Gnosticism, because we're gonna get into that, but it's just like so much blatant witchcraft. Just straight up blatant witchcraft for no reason at all.
It's very like hidden. To some degree, it's hidden. Like when you're a kid, you're not gonna understand that. Yeah. You're not gonna like pick up on the witchcraft when you're a little kid. Because you're young, you're innocent. But it's like real throughout. And that's the way they get you in a lot of these things.
That is true. They get you when you're little. It's very sad.
It is tragic.
Yeah. That's depressing. Yeah. But specifically with Dragon Ball, when we were doing research for this episode, there was so much that, like, I don't remember. I mean, I never really sat down to, like, I've seen a lot of it, but I never sat down even recently to, like, watch it. I knew it was kind of mystical, you know, like, kind of a little bit weird, but I didn't know to what extent there was so much witchcraft and Gnosticism. One of, like, this is just a direct quote from the Dragon Ball Wiki, is that it's a series known for incorporating elements of magic and witchcraft through its storyline. Like, they're not even trying to hide
it. They're like, no, we're just gonna throw it in your face.
Mm-hmm.
In, you know, when you search it up. But now when you watch it, they're not gonna tell you.
Yes.
Why? Because, why would they do that?
So if you don't know anything about Dragon Ball, it's essentially this dude, Goku, who's not really a dude. Well, he kind of is. He's a different race because he's an alien. And I think either him or his dad was sent to Earth to annihilate Earth from a race of space people. But then he hit his head or had an accident, and then he forgot that he was supposed to be there to wipe them all out. And so he was like, oh, I'm going to be good now. And he becomes the savior of the world, really. That's how the series ends.
I always hate it when they do that, when they're like, oh my gosh, you're the savior. I'm like, no.
I wonder why they do that.
That's Jesus. Jesus is the savior. Stop. Yes. No, I'm like, why can't you just call him hero?
I know.
Well, I know why, but still.
And they always have to have certain attributes that overlap with things that you would not traditionally make a savior. Like, if it's somebody that you're going to be, like, hailing and be happy that they helped you, but then they bring all these little things into that they make that you justify because you liked what the character did in the show.
Yeah.
It's very
you can
odd.
justify a lot when you like a character.
Mm-hmm.
It's a little creepy.
I saw this specifically with, like, all the energy manipulation. There's so much energy manipulation in Dragon Ball. I did remember that, but I didn't remember how bad it was.
Energy? So when you say energy, do you mean energy as in, like, energy? Guys, I promise I'm not stupid. Or, like, elements.
No, like elements.
Okay.
Here, I'll play a clip for you real quick. I'll play for you guys.
The rivers, the trees, the wind, all the living things in nature. Please offer me your energy. I ask of you, please. I almost have enough. The power is coming to me. I can feel all of it completely surrounding me. Just a little bit more. Here it comes. All right. Feel it getting closer now. There, it's done. If this won't stop him, then nothing.
I mean, it's very blatantly... When you research elemental witchcraft, he's making statements that he wants to receive energy from things that are surrounding him that have this kind of, I don't want to say transcendental energy, that's not the correct word, but metaphysical energy. That isn't just like your typical frequencies. And when you take a look at the ideas in elemental witchcraft, they're very focused on, like, energy building and the manipulation of metaphysical matter. And it's very similar to what we see Goku doing, where he's just trying to harness energy from all these different things in nature to just make himself stronger, which is not a biblical concept at all. Mm-hmm. And if you practice that yourself, are you happy? No.
Because witchcraft, it doesn't. Like, look, when you become witches, ex-witches and warlocks will tell you that, they had a lot of power.
Mm-hmm.
But the price they paid for that power was horrible suffering.
Mm-hmm.
For, like, yes, they got, like, bits of gratification, but they were filled with suffering that never ended and never stopped.
Mm-hmm.
And there were only fleeting moments. It's not even joy, because joy comes with God. It's happiness. And happiness and joy are not the same thing.
Right. They just get so much temporary gratification because it makes you feel like you're powerful, but you have no power. Your power ends when you die.
Not compared to Jesus. Not compared to God.
That's what, like, even just that clip alone really tipped me off about Dragon Ball, like, when I was... Not that I was considering that it wasn't witchcraft, but it's one of the animes that I've been more lenient with. I've had friends who really like Dragon Ball. We just talked to a friend of ours who really loves Dragon Ball. And I'm like, oh, well, yeah, okay, Mexicans really like it. I'm not being racist, I'm Mexican.
How does that, guys?
Yeah,
Nope.
that's the only reason I know about. But
Interesting.
it's very, like, when you look at it, what is he practicing? It is the core elements of elemental witchcraft, which is trying to harness energy from from nature and the world around you so you can manipulate that energy and use it yourself on a metaphysical level. And there was no reason for that to be in the show other than they just for that reason, just because they wanted to.
And, like, you can have a show like this and there be no witchcraft.
Yes.
Like, he's here from an alien planet. He's having powers. That's not witchcraft. Like, as long as they're not, like, witchcraft powers, like, superheroes. Superheroes have powers, but that doesn't mean there's witchcraft involved, like Superman. The Flash. Spider-Man. Powers. No witchcraft involved. You can have shows like this where there's, like, extraterrestrial, alien, like, saving the world type of stuff, and it not be blasphemous, and witchcraft.
Yeah, there's a lot of, I'm looking for the word right now, and I can't find it. We're going to be talking about Gnosticism, but, I mean, that's the source of witchcraft. He's essentially trying to make himself his own god.
Trying to find
And another thing regarding Dragon Ball, and just the concept of witchcraft in general, is the entire reason why they're looking for these Dragon Balls in the first place. Mm-hmm. So, I don't really understand how they work, like, how they're finding them or anything. I don't remember. I remember every single episode, they're just running trying to find more Dragon Balls. But, essentially, they have the power to raise the dead.
Oh,
so
that's
if you collect enough Dragon Balls, you can commit necromancy.
That's a horrible sin. Do not do it.
Don't try that.
That's witchcraft right there.
You're not talking to your dead grandma.
No, you're talking to demons who are impersonating your dead family to try and trick you.
Yep.
That we're getting on different territory here. People are gonna hate us. No, we're not here for people. We're here for God.
But it's true though. There's so much like just transcendence in Dragon Ball, especially the different transformations. Specifically, that I think Goku goes through one. I think maybe other people do too. I don't know. It's been a long time, but they have this idea of like the Super Saiyan transformation, or like the Super Saiyan God transformation. And it really just looks like transcendental meditation, and you just like spiritually evolve into something else.
Yeah, again, it sounded like Naruto.
Yeah.
I didn't pronounce that word right. It's Naruto in and of itself is very much witchcrafty.
Yeah,
got a lot of chakras and auras and such.
It's not great.
Which is not. That's not one we're talking about today. But
yeah.
You know.
Oh yeah, there's so many. Disclaimer: we could do so many more. By the way,
we could make this a series.
Yeah, like we're specifically not, or I'm not talking about Death Note or Neon Genesis Evangelion,
which is one she's particularly not fond of.
I really dislike that one.
Nope, she doesn't like it.
Because we could do whole hour-long episodes just on those animes alone, because it goes so very deep into how much they want to make fun of the Christian faith.
Yes.
And just how much they want to promote a Gnostic gospel by taking and it's not even unique. It's not creative at all. They just take a story that already exists and flips it on its head and be like, oh, this is cool.
Though one could argue that there is no such thing as an original story.
That's true.
Because there's nothing new in it.
But if it's directly copied...
that's besides the point.
If I can predict what's gonna happen... Oh, this guy who's acting like the devil's gonna save the world, isn't he? Oh, okay, yeah, he did. Yeah,
that's just straight up blasphemous.
Yeah.
Gnosticism.
That's all... Yep, and it happens so many times. I mean, it happens here in Dragon Ball when we look at Goku, because he's somebody who is from space, who is essentially falling to the world. He's sent to the world to... come and destroy the world, but then he, like, becomes a little bit more of a Jesus character towards the end, and then the person who is supposed to be wiping out the world becomes the villain, and he saves the world from Armageddon, he prevents Armageddon, and that makes him the hero. Yeah. But if we think about the
implications,
right, like the plan of
who does that remind you of?
The devil. Yeah, the plan of the devil in Revelation, and the promises that we see and then we hear from so many people who really believe that Satan is going to win in the end.
Yeah,
It's the same. It's the exact same story. He gets cast down to Earth, and then, oh wait, but I'm the good guy, and then the bad guy upstairs wants to wipe the Earth, but I'm gonna save you because I'm gonna win Armageddon, and you can live here with me forever. Which is not gonna happen.
Yeah. No. There are a lot of issues. And I'm not a Dragon Ball fan. I'll be completely honest. I have not seen it. I've not watched it. I have a hard time getting into animes that I am not fond of the art style of.
That's fair.
The art style for me,
ugly. It's
older.
Yeah, it's
the art style. For me, is like a big deal. Like if I can't, the art style needs to be something that I can, like, I guess, connect with. Mm-hmm. Like feel like I can connect to the characters with.
Yeah.
Like for example, One Punch Man. I can't.
Caillou.
I can. He is Caillou though.
He's Caillou.
Just adult Caillou. Whatever happened to his parent? No, we don't need to go down that rabbit hole. Like One Punch Man, I can't stand the art style, and I won't watch it because of it.
Yeah.
Or what's that other
ugly
show like? Something 1000s.
Dude, I don't know. One Piece.
Mob Psycho 100.
Dude, I know. I have no idea what that is.
Again, I hate the art style. I can't get behind it.
Fair enough.
And I have not watched it as a result. Obviously, Dragon Ball it is like one of the most popular animes of all time.
Internationally.
Yes, and as an anime fan, it's hard not to know what it is.
Yeah.
So, and obviously, this is our podcast, so we have to do research.
That is true. I know. I was in pain researching this for you guys, but I came pretty close.
She's like, I don't know. We're done.
I was not enjoying it. Regarding Witchcraft, there is also another game, and it's only in it a little bit, but I have noticed it in it. Like, I didn't even need to look very far. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, because I've known about this for, 5 years of my life, and I still don't say it correctly. But it's Danganronpa?
One of those.
Have you heard of that one?
I maybe not. It's not coming off the top of my head. I can't visualize anything.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair. I only know it through it. I always thought it was an anime. Because it was one of those that I had seen cosplays of when I was in elementary school on the internet. And when I got into middle school and maybe a little bit before that, I had friends who liked to play it, and I found out it was a video game. So it's kind of it's an anime sprite animated video game. So there's not a lot of complex animation. It's really a lot of flat planes of color, and there's not a lot of 3D things that are going on. But it's essentially a robotic bear who, in my opinion, is very demonic. If you hear him speak and you hear him talk, although he's never been explicitly described as a demon, who traps all these high schoolers in a school and makes them murder each other.
Sounds like Assassination Classroom. Well,
I have heard of that one.
Murder their teacher. What is it? There is a High School DxD. That one's bad. That one's horrible. We're not discussing it, but do not watch it.
It's a warning. Don't watch it.
It is highly inappropriate. Also, High School DxD. Where do we see any? Implications there? Let's not.
That doesn't sound.
It's a lot of death, a lot of murder. It's very gruesome, very cool. No.
That's how Danganronpa is too. And the little bear, specifically with the Witchcraft, there are multiple times where he at least more than once. I know more than once. I don't know how many times. I haven't played the games, and there's 3 of them. But he calls upon the spells of gods. And one of them is he calls upon the spear of Odin when he's speaking to this high school student, and they're talking, and she disrespects him, I guess, as the teacher, and he calls upon the spear of Odin, and she gets speared in 8 places. And they make the blood pink, so it's oh, well, it's kind of cute, isn't it? It's not morbid, but she gets ripped to shreds.
Oh, that's horrible.
Yeah. That's the image.
Interesting. That's not what I was expecting.
Yeah, I know, right? It's
you expect worse.
You would expect worse. But it's
very much so hidden.
It's creepy when you're reading the dialogue and you see him cast the spell, and then she's just like twitching there, and it's just like
she's dead.
Not that I have not that gore bothers me, because I'm one person where it really doesn't. But when you mix juvenile concepts like high school, like the pink blood, like making this seem so, like, it's cute and it's candy, but it's also disturbing, and you put them together, that really does bug me.
It's a little twisted. Yeah. And by a little, I mean a lot. Yes. There are quite a few issues with that.
And in that game, there's also somebody who's, like, the ultimate witch. Like, each person gets a title.
You always have to have some sort of
One
witch.
of them's the witch. Of course she is. Or, I think she's the ultimate mage. But she's a witch.
Sorry. They always gotta have some sort of mage.
I know.
I don't, come on now. You can have superpowers and then not be a mage.
Yeah, you don't have to be a mage, man. And I'm not a huge superpower person. Like, the furthest that I will go watching something where you are given powers... I was not a huge superhero kid if you were born with the powers, excluding, like, Megamind. I watched that a lot. Oh, yeah. That was funny.
That was good. One time we watched it 8 times in like, the span of 3 days.
That's funny.
It was terrible. It's a great movie.
But I liked Batman and Larry Boy.
So the ones without
the ones who weren't born with powers. And the furthest I ever went watching or enjoying something where the main character was born with some sort of, like, metaphysical property was Stranger Things, where she has I
was a huge fan of 11.
Telekinesis. Yes.
Yeah,
I remember when that show came out. I'm pretty sure both of us probably liked it before it was cool. I know I liked it before it was cool, and everybody thought I was a nerd. The 2019 rolled around. They're like, it's cool.
I wasn't introduced to it till, like, later on. I was terrified of it when I first saw it. Like, it scared me so bad. Because my heart couldn't take it. I felt so bad, like, scared that they weren't going to get a happy ending. And, of course, that show went down demonic roads.
It really did. The last season was...
It's unfortunate, because, the first 2 seasons were great. The third one was absolute garbage. I'm going to be completely honest. That's mainly because I hate the fact that they made Elle and Mike break up. And the fourth one is just bad.
I really think they should have never gotten together.
Well, that's a controversial take.
I think that she should have become his sister. And they should have never pursued anything romantic between them past, like, the middle of season 1, and then afterwards. That was a bad idea. I never liked that. I thought she should get with Will. She was much nicer. But then they made him...
Nope, we're not going to go down that road. That's another thing for a different episode. So many... Yeah. Yep,
We keep rambling on.
We do. I apologize, guys. We're so sorry.
But regarding witchcraft, another one that we're going to talk about today is Full Metal Alchemist. And this one I know you had heard of. Mm-hmm. I had heard of it, not as a super I've heard of it popular with, like, older people. It's a lot of the animes that I know were, like, popular with, like, between the 10 and 14 age range. This one's more popular with, like, 15 through, I don't know, like, through your 20s, probably.
Yeah, it's gotten more popular, like, recently.
Yeah.
And by recently, I mean within, the past, like, 10 years or so.
And if you can't tell by the name, it's essentially about 2 brothers who practice the esoteric knowledge of alchemy. And the beginning of the show, I believe, is them trying to perform necromancy and resurrect their dead mother.
That's so sad.
Yeah. And it's witchcraft again.
It's always the mother, too. It's always the mom.
It's so sad. So sad.
And that speaks to why dads are important. Because the dads are always not present.
So you know some more about these animes that you put notes on than I do.
Oh, yeah. Genshin Impact.
That game scares me. And I don't even know anything about it.
Look, it became so unbelievably popular. Like, it's, I guess, one of the greats of the anime RPG game world. Yes. Oh, yeah, there's a lot of problems with it, though. There's the whole premise is twins, lost twins, trying to find who get separated from, like, this unknown god.
Huh.
And the other twin gets like, sent, like, 1,000 years later. Like, they like, sleep forever. For, like, 1,000 years. And they wake up in this, like, fantasy world with, like, a bunch of magic and false gods. And, like, you have to worship. There are these podiums. Sorry, guys. There are these podiums at in the game where, like, you have to, like, offer something to the, like, I think they're called eons of that specific region.
Okay.
And there's, like...
I never knew any of this. I thought it was just kind of weird.
And they have,
I knew it was a little mystical.
Yeah. They have, like, the different elements, which I don't have a problem necessarily with the elemental stuff. I'm a fan of Avatar: The Last Airbender. Like, it's very much, like, elemental stuff. And there's a few things but it's nothing that, like...
There's a lot of Eastern meditation.
Yeah, it's very much inspired from, like, the Asian cultures and such. But it's nothing, like, super dark or bad. The worst there was like, an episode, like, a guru, which I just ended up skipping past. Mm-hmm. Or, like, one with, like, a psychic old lady that was very creepy. But there's obviously the, like, dark magic and the light magic, which the main characters, they're the light magic, and then the purple is the dark magic. I forget what they call it, though. Because they have a different name for it, of course. And they're basically, like, witches, mages, like, dark stuff. They have, like, yakshas, adeptus, which are, like, they're, like high being creatures, which are meant to, like, defeat demons.
Huh.
Which they are demons.
It's always odd to me when people want to make something, like, spiritual, where you have, like, the good light spirits and the bad dark spirits,
yes,
but no God! But no God, guys. You can't do that.
And the gods they do have, they're called, like, aeons or eons or something.
Huh.
Or archons? Guys, it's been a while since I left. I went on a kick. I played it for a little while, and I was like, I felt convicted. I was like, this isn't good. This is witchcraft.
No.
But, like, all the archons in the game are they're named after all the demons, like 72 demons of the Key of Solomon.
Oh, okay. That's
like, they're all named after demons, like, demonic
creatures. Why would anybody want to have, like, fellowship with that? It kind of reminds me of Yu-Gi-Oh!
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was bad.
Yu-Gi-Oh! Was bad. We're not talking about that one today.
We're not talking about a lot of these.
So much!
There's so many things, guys. So many things. We can make this a series that never ends.
Mm-hmm.
Well, yeah. Well, the characters, I forget if obviously some of them are evil, but, like, some of them are also good, and they're named after demons in the Key of Solomon. It's a lot of, like, witchcraft, like, spiritualism, like, talking to, like, dead people. They're, like, spirits, spirits of dead people, like, weird, like, creatures and such. It's concerning.
Yeah. I don't mess with that. Anybody who knows me personally knows that I don't touch that kind of thing anymore.
Yeah. I don't play it. I was also a huge fan of Honkai Star Rail.
Interesting.
It's another one that went down dark roads.
Ooh.
It's less bad than Genshin Impact, but there are still, the whole, like, dark magic stuff.
Yeah.
Like, psychic tarot cards, like...
Ooh, oh no. No.
Gods of the world, of the different planets and such. And so, again, I felt like we're not good. Like, dragon people?
Yeah.
They're, like gods or something? Yeah, we're not gonna do that. And that was sad for me to give it up, because I was like, oh... But then ultimately, I feel better about it. Like, I don't feel convicted. And, like, it's better off that way. And there are other games that you can play that are much better. There's still that style, because I do like that style, like RPG.
Yeah.
Which is, there are questionable things in that area of genre as well. But again,
So Fruits Basket.
Yes.
Yeah, you have that. I always, like, I've seen Fruits Basket, and just like, I think just, like, the cover of, like, it just looks so flowery.
Yes.
With the girl in the meadow.
Yes,
like, it looks so cute. So, tell me about that one.
Okay, so I was introduced to Fruits Baskets maybe, like, 3 years ago. It's much more spiritually problematic than it is.
Really?
Spiritually
I thought I never got that vibe.
I do, the main character, the female main character, she's done well. Like, I like the way she's done. She's very, like, innocent, flowery. Like, she's a main character, and I love that. But the show, it's like very much about zodiacs.
Ooh.
And the characters are under like a zodiac curse.
Oh no.
Where like if they touch people of the opposite sex that are not of their same family, they will turn into the animal of their year. Like there's a character, his name is Kyo, and he's the secondary lead, he's a male protagonist. He's under the year of the cat, and he's like an outcast from the rest of them. Like he's bad. He's not evil, but like they outcast him. And so whenever he touches, I forget what her name was, but the main character, the flowery girl, which is his love interest, he turns into a cat.
Okay.
And so the whole show is them trying to like break the curse of like the zodiac, and like at one point the Kyo turns into like some weird like monster creature because he has his like weird like ribbon wristband like cut off of him, which is like protects him. So it's definitely much more problematic than it is.
That's concerning.
Than it is.
You'd be able to exist exist as an animal and have somebody still be
they're humans,
attracted to you, justified in the universe. Like I understand that they're people, but
and then
during their time, that's a weird line to cross anymore.
But there's especially now, but like they were humans who were turned into Her whole thing is she's like what's called a rice ball, which they're not balls, they're triangles. I never got. No, I'm just kidding. It's terrible. It's a whole different thing. And I don't remember how that like ties into everything, but like, there's that for sure. Sword Art Online is like the last one for like witchcraft. It's much more severe, like Gnosticism.
Dang. Okay. So what's that? That's one I've never heard of.
Sword Art Online?
Yeah. No, never. Maybe seen some of the images.
Yeah, it's again it's sexual. they all are. They all are though. No, Sword Art Online. It's got a very like use your words. It's like got a magic system, lots of spells, demonic servants.
Oh
yeah, monsters.
Creepy.
Like it's very. It is more in problematic in terms of Gnosticism.
Yeah. That's so weird. I see so many of these like just so pushed so much, but they don't seem, at least by your perception of them, that they would have any affiliation with the concepts that are like included. I mean, even Dragon Ball. Like, I mean, it just looks like some dude. He's like super buff, and he's gonna fight everybody and save the world.
Yeah, and you wouldn't expect it. Like it's hidden. The one that I have specifically for Gnosticism, which is Sword Art Online. There's this whole. I don't want to say the name because there's problems with it. Project AL. If you know, you know. I don't know. It deals with a ton of. Well, you don't know. It deals with a ton of like spiritual, demonic, magic rituals, and they're like controlled by two goddesses. Which again, I will not say the names of because I don't know where they come from. I want to be careful. Same with like Bible character that they try to make. It's not a Bible character. She's a demon. Lil.
Oh,
yeah, her, like, I asked my mom a completely innocent question, like, is this true? Because I didn't know.
Like the character from, like, Kabbalah mythology, Jewish mythology.
And they like, insert her and act like she's part of the Bible. There's no mention of her anywhere in the Bible. She's
Adam's first wife.
She's a demon.
She's a demon.
She's a demon. Or be that in the name of Jesus.
Yup. Everything in Kabbalah too. Like people think that a lot of it is biblical canon, and it's 100%.
Like, you're incorrect. It's controlled by two goddesses who are one is trying to protect the world, and the other is trying to help the world through these demonic rituals, and it's like of the underworld, of hell, and the goddess with the sea. She very much aligns with Gnosticism in that she thinks the world is evil and so it needs to be destroyed. She's completely crushed.
And she's the bad one or the good one?
Technically, they're both evil, but she is bad. Yes. And then the other one, Q, she is like she created churches and like lied to others and like about her true nature and like constantly brainwashed everybody into thinking that she is, this powerful thing. Which, again, Gnosticism, trying to make evil, demonic things seem like good.
Yep. That it's always the character that wants to destroy the world from, like, a supernatural perspective. That's always the bad guy. Why? We don't know, but, well, we do know.
Well, we do know.
We know, but they always explain it in the story
Bible,
as, oh, well, it's for the story. It's not unique.
It's really not. If you look into the Bible, like, first of all, Jesus is the only God that says, seek and you shall find it. Implicating that he wants you to find out for yourself. He wants you to question. He wants you to learn. He wants you to seek. He wants you to explore. Mm-hmm. Not like explore as in like go in with like other evil things, but like he wants you to act like question and like test it out. He wants you to. He doesn't require blind faith.
Yeah.
No other religion does that. No other God is like test me, seek me. It's like, oh, you need to accept me. They always make you say. They always make you have like blind faith. Jesus is not like that. He is the only God, the only true God. First of all, the only God. And Christianity is the only religion where it tells you to seek, search, and you will find. Yes. And you will always find that is the truth. Because it says in the Bible, his word is always proven true. Mm-hmm. And if the evidence is like, it's never ending. The historical, scientific, like all of it.
There's just so much.
And it's not even the tip of the iceberg. Like personal experiences. Mm-hmm. And again, without uncertainty, there can't be faith.
Right.
So there will always be some thing left to the unknown, but it's so very little that it's like you just know. Like right. I know that this is the truth.
Right.
So much so that I'm willing to put everything on, like stake my life on it. Like this is everything to me.
Yeah. Because the belief in the God of the Bible is the most logical religion.
It is. It's
but
the
with logic, you still have to accept the fact that you might not know everything. Not everything is 100% absolutely provable here on Earth.
Yeah.
And that's because we don't have, like, this divine intelligence.
But God doesn't require us to have blind faith, which is why he gave us the Gospels. Mm-hmm. We have countless, like, archaeological evidence, historical. The Bible has literally predicted the future. Like,
more than once.
Like,
so much.
It's just, yeah. So I say that because dealing with Gnosticism, people can be like, there can be a fine line with confusing people or like making people like start to wonder like, why is that stuff bad?
Yeah.
Because the Bible says so. And we know that the Bible is true because of the evidence that is given to us. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you're not always going to feel like having faith or believing. Mm-hmm. But it's important to go based on what you know and not what you feel. Mm-hmm. And with going based off that, you will come to feel.
Yep.
And sometimes you feel more than you know. Sometimes you feel it so clearly, but sometimes the uncertainty kicks in. Mm-hmm. But because of that feeling comes the knowledge. And so, I just wanted to point that out.
No, it's true.
Because I am somebody who can take these things and spiral on them.
Yeah.
And think myself into dark holes, overthinking and worrying. And so, I want to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, 100%. That's why, that's like the reason why Gnosticism is so blasphemous. Just the idea. If you guys don't know what Gnosticism is more, basically, it was kind of a very early pagan school of thought that took biblical concepts and basically it flipped it on its head. It turned them upside down. Jesus was the villain, and they created a character that has similar attributes to Jesus, but he is Lucifer. It's so blatantly blasphemous. Mm-hmm. Like, purposefully, it's to take the Christian gospel and turn it around based on nothing in truth and demonize the savior of the Christian Bible, and then use the villain that God ultimately wants to destroy in Armageddon as the hero, giving him attributes of Christ, but still making him very antithetical to the character of God. And while we're on the concept of Gnosticism, there are so many animes that we kind of already touched on that a little bit, but they just get worse.
The Dragon Ball Z.
They just get so much worse.
Yeah. Again, if you guys want this to become a series, let us know.
Yeah. One that I had heard about it from 2 or 3 friends of mine. I had seen cosplays of it, but never took a look at it. Was Heaven's Lost Property. Have you ever heard of that one?
No, but it already sounds bad.
It's bad, dude.
Really, Heaven's Lost Property. That only means hell.
I know, right? You would think so. The plot is essentially there is this tyrannical being in their space heaven, and there are cyborg angel teenage girls that fall from that heaven onto Earth, and each of them has a collar around their necks that if it's removed, a bomb will detonate and they will explode and die. So the only way to not die for these angels is to do whatever their master commands them to do. So when they were in heaven, it was their tyrannical master, like the god in this situation, and when they fall to Earth, it's a teenage boy. A very perverted teenage boy.
That's disgusting.
Yes.
That's blasphemous and perverted.
It's so bad. This was the one where I was trying to get clips to show, and I just couldn't, like...
It's just too bad, guys.
It's just too bad. Like, I couldn't suffer through it, and I don't want to make you guys suffer.
Do not do it.
Just
if we're not doing it, don't do it.
Unless your children really love this anime and you have no idea what they're talking about and you want to familiarize yourself with it, don't go looking for it.
Just ignore it. Don't. It's just pretending it doesn't exist at this point.
This is one of the angels. I won't play the clip because it's sad, but this is her collar, and they're all drawn very much so like sexually, but to look like girls, like children. Specifically these two. She's I think is also an angel, and she's always given a school uniform, and she looks like a little girl. She has the body of a grown woman, but again, the face of an adolescent.
Yes.
And under them is the teenage boy who's the main character. And they're very explicit about
inappropriate things.
Yeah. Wanting to show what the desires of this kid are. I didn't really look too far into it, but you can pretty much tell. Like, this is one of the posters that advertises the anime.
Yeah, that's...
So, it's pretty horrible. And I won't play it because it's just... makes me extremely uncomfortable. Yes, because of the language that is used. It's disgusting. But there's a clip where one of the angels... is kind of like bowing before the god that used to be her master, and she's like crying, and he's just berating her, like just calling her like good for nothing, using the language that we see very often in X-rated circles that normalize degrading people of the female sex.
Yeah.
That one was hard for me, but I know it's pretty popular. Despite like the inherent sexual nature, it's so Gnostic. Yeah, like it's taking things that are perfect beings, and then you're just perverting every single element of their lives.
It's so sexual and inappropriate.
Yep.
Like I don't know. Are there female angels?
I mean, we don't really know.
We've only ever heard of male angels.
Yeah, that's true.
But like Gabriel and...
Yeah, I don't know.
That's a question for a different time.
That's the truth. But
yeah, that's just despicable. Like, you're perverting the perfect word of God.
You're taking the perfect, like, God's perfect messengers and that do all of his bidding, and you're saying that God has the capacity to be disgusting and immoral and degrading, and that people on Earth need to save them, which is just Gnosticism. Again, the guy in the sky is horrible, and the people here on Earth are going to save your life.
Yes, and we know that is not the case. Because, again, we know the Bible, and even with personal experiences. The amount of people who have been saved by Jesus, even outside of, like, looking at the Bible, personal encounters. We've got people who've done horrible things their entire life. I don't remember who was with... There was this Islamic man who was part of, like, mass organization of like just like murder and like terrible things. I think it was like ISIS or something like that.
Oh, yeah, probably.
And he was in like a jail cell or something. And Jesus encountered him and he said, "No, I forgive you." And in the Islamic Torahs or whatever it's called.
The Quran.
Quran, yep.
The Torah's Jewish.
Yeah. Islam.
Of course I would know.
Yeah, you would. I'm so sorry for sounding so uneducated. But like in the Quran, in the Quran, it says their God is forgiving, but they won't know it until the day of judgment, which isn't real forgiveness, to be honest.
Right.
But Jesus, he came and he forgave this man. He said, "I forgive you," and this man was like, "Who are you? Like, who are you that forgives me?"
Mm-hmm.
Is I'm the way, the truth, and the life. And, like, I don't know how more forgiving and, like, awesome it gets in that. I mean, there are other things, like, the criminals on the cross, like, thieves on the cross. Both of them didn't deserve to go to hell. The guy didn't, and the one, I forget which side he was on. One of them was like, you know, I acknowledge that you're God.
Mm-hmm.
Please remember me when you're in heaven. And God said, you're going to be up in heaven with me. He did nothing to deserve it. But I think that speaks to, like, we're saved through faith and grace, not by works. And obviously, with faith comes works. Mm-hmm. So we're not gonna forget that. If you don't have works, you don't have real faith. But, like, you're gonna demonize that kind of God. And there are answers for all the questions that people have, like, oh, why this, why that? And some of those answers we're not gonna get until we die. And, you know, we'll be either faced with the perfect God. Mm-hmm. Or we'll be able to go to heaven. But with what we do know, we know that God is just and he is fair. Mm-hmm. And we know that there's a reason behind everything that he does.
Yep.
And ultimately, he works all things for the good of those who love him.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
It's just horrible that you're going to demonize...
Right. That you want to take such
a perfect God.
The perfect being.
The perfect God.
Yeah, the only perfect being and his perfect messengers... and just make them into something so perverted and objectified. I saw a clip of somebody who was at an anime con, and he was speaking to an interviewer who was just kind of like, he was walking around getting information from people, and he asked him, hey, what was your first anime? And he was like, oh, Heaven's Lost Property, it's about these cyborg chicks. And he asked him how old he was when he watched it, and he was like, 11 or 12. I was like, oh.
Yeah.
I mean, beyond how, like...
yeah.
damaging that is mentally because of the sheer volume of sexual content. It's so damaging spiritually. If your first exposure to this God who has messengers who do his bidding is that he's so tyrannical and horrible, well, what is that? That's not going to help you be any more open to the concept of Christianity that essentially is that, but he's not tyrannical.
Yeah, God is not a tyrannical God. He is a perfect God. He is a loving God. He's a just God. He is a God of conviction, not condemnation. And conviction gently reminds you that you can do better. Yep. You are worth more. You are meant for more. That is going to hurt you. And I love you so much that I want more for you. You deserve more than that. Condemnation, which is of the devil, because it says there's no condemnation those who love the Lord. Those are in the Lord. And this is paraphrasing, so don't come after me in the comments. Say, oh my gosh, you didn't say the Bible verse exactly correct. Like, condemnation only comes from the devil. It tells you that you are never going to be good enough. Because, you know, realistically, we aren't. God is the only one who's good enough, and he is so good that he saved us. He had mercy on us, even though we were not deserving. And he loved us so much that he sent his son to die on the cross for us, even for people he knew would never accept him. Yep. And would do horrible things against him. Like this show. Yeah. Yeah, I hope the guy who made it found Jesus or something.
Yeah. Well, I believe it stopped running in 2009, so we can be happy about that.
Oh, thank
it's God a DVD only now.
All those need to be burned.
One that did not stop running for long, though, is Sailor Moon.
Oh, yeah, I know that.
Sailor Moon has lots of episodes. I think 200 episodes.
It's still ongoing.
And it's still, I don't know if they ever really ended it, but speaking of Gnosticism.
There's a lot of Gnosticism.
Oh my goodness. I did not watch a lot of Sailor Moon, like, personally. I had friends whose brothers and, like, siblings would, like, have it on playing in the background, and I would just kind of, like, see it, or, you know, you see Sailor Moon merch in, like, FYE. My aunt, who, I mean, she's, like, I don't know, past 50 now, but I think she mentioned she used to like Sailor Moon because it's older. Not that I'm calling her old, but, you know, it's a little bit more of a classic anime, especially when you look back at, like, the style and the quality of the really old episodes. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, there's just so much Gnosticism in Sailor Moon, and it goes along with a lot of, like, the magic and the witchcraft, and there's a whole school of thought around, like, the idea of magical girls.
Yeah,
If you've
there's a
seen
whole
that,
genre that's magical
whole
girls.
genre, and just the idea of, like, I want to become a magical girl when I grow up.
Which not every magical girl anime is like Sailor Moon.
Yeah.
There are, again, I think there are powers that don't have to do with, like, magic, demonic things. But with this, a lot of them you will find that there is, especially with Sailor Moon.
Mm-hmm.
It's like they've got the names of the characters are very explicitly
Yes.
planets which are named after false gods.
Right. I'll play this clip for you guys. Essentially showing some of their transformations and the symbols on their hands and their foreheads. These are all astrological symbols.
Yes.
So they're...
And we all know that zodiac signs are
right.
not good.
They're symbols of zodiac signs. And even just the transformations in themselves, you know, there's something kind of transcendental going on. Just the atmosphere that they create.
Mm-hmm.
But not only, like, the elements and the... Because they have a little bit of that, too, similar to Dragon Ball Z, where they use, like, elemental magic.
Mm-hmm.
And the zodiac signs and a lot of the Eastern influence. There are also a lot of, like, there's a whole kind of I don't know if it's a subplot or if they put it a little bit later in the show, where there is the Garden of Eden.
Oh.
And they have their own tree of life. I don't know if it's named something different, but this is a screenshot from one of the episodes, and who does it look like is talking in the subtitles?
I'm gonna be honest, it looks like SpongeBob SquarePants.
I mean, it does. I know it does.
It looks like SpongeBob. But you know where. Yep.
Yep. Who was in the original creation story?
Oh,
who was hovering
I
over
didn't
the
even
water?
really pay attention to the words until just now because I was too focused on the font. My apologies. Yeah, no, that's bad.
Yep. Yeah, they have their own subplot where there's a tree of life, and I believe also forbidden fruit, and their recreation of the fall, but there is no real god. Not really.
Or they have,
like,
false gods.
Yeah.
Which I believe
kind
in
of,
your note.
they did that in Dragon Ball, a little bit, where there is no gods other than the ultimate dragon gods.
Mm.
And this is a picture of one of them. And the Dragon Balls, I think, so they're connected to the dragon gods somehow, and the dragon team is what Goku is a part of, as they're seeking out these Dragon Balls so they can be able to raise the dead, and I think they get other powers from them. I don't think it's just necromancy, but correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't seen the real show in forever.
Yes, please inform us.
But it's very interesting that even though the dragon is something that shows up a lot in Eastern mythology, Chinese mythology, who is the dragon usually in the Bible? It's not God.
No, it's a bad thing.
And I'm not saying that, the idea of dragons or lizards or any of that is wrong. We have a bunch of reptiles.
Yeah, no, even Kung Fu Panda. There's he becomes the golden dragon or something.
Yeah, something
that's
like that.
That's not demonic, guys. It's very cultural. Dragons, Chinese culture, and dragons in general. I don't fit for example, How to Train Your Dragons. Super popular show. It's not obvious there's Vikings and they'll say, oh, this and this and this and this. Because, the false gods and such. But I don't think dragons themselves, watching things of dragons, is demonic.
Mm-hmm.
Because, and obviously, think that people are going to go to hell. They're not going to go to hell for watching How to Train Your Dragons or Kung Fu Panda.
Yeah,
because
no.
It's not portrayed in a demonic way. It's portrayed in a sense that's very fantastical and mythical creature, and that's part of what they do to try and make people believe that it's all just a fairy tale, which it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously we know that these things are real, but there are much worse creatures and such that are much more inherently evil.
Mm-hmm. When you're looking at though things like anime and these shows that have been essentially, they're explosive in pop culture with a cult following, looking at the symbols that are used in them, not literally, when they have so many other red flags of being something that promotes Gnosticism, it's very interesting to see that God is a dragon, all the good people are dragons, and they're searching for Dragon Balls that help them commit necromancy.
Yes, when you can... I keep hitting the table, I'm so sorry. When you are explicitly using something for demonic purposes, and there are things which are just inherently demonic and evil, and you should just avoid, like, altogether, just, you know, forever. And there are things which are on the opposite end of that, which we should, you know, be, like, pushing more because they are biblical and of God. Like, in Dragon Ball Z, it's very clearly that they are using this dragon in a demonic sense, this false god, necromancy, which is horrible. It's so damaging. It's like mentally damaging, spiritually damaging.
It's really, and it's hard to wrap your head around. Any way that these characters could be, you know, positive heroes and role models.
Yeah.
It's like when they're checking off all the boxes of things you shouldn't do.
When you see the things like that they are doing, it's very clear. And I think they can be portrayed in a spiritual sense and a non-spiritual sense. When dragons are portrayed in a spiritual sense, that's when we have a major problem.
Yes.
I think, and please correct me if I'm speaking wrong, I don't want to lead anyone astray. Like, I'm not sure, that's not at all my intentions. This is just my thought process. And, you know, dear Father, please, you know, help me if I am wrong. Correct me. Forgive me. But if you're portraying a dragon in, like, a physical, like, non-spiritual sense, like, for example, with How to Train Your Dragons, etc., I'm bringing such juvenile examples. I don't see an issue with that. But when you're bringing something spiritual, there are inherent implications.
And that's putting, specifically the dragons, because we've seen it in the Bible as a example of Satan. Yes. But also just, I mean, any animal that's, like, spiritualized.
Yes,
like
snakes especially.
Yes, snakes and
goats.
Goats.
My goodness.
And in Dragon Ball Z, Goku, he's actually based off of a character in Chinese mythology named the Monkey King, who makes his way into heaven and is very upset that he does not get a, like, place with the gods in heaven. So he goes to the highest god in the mythological heaven and says, I am now on the same plane as you.
Well, that's...
Even though I'm from Earth.
That's blasphemous right there.
Yep. And speaking of Sailor Moon, back on that topic, there are multiple episodes where Sailor Moon is actually, they reference her as the Messiah. And they say that she's the Messiah and that she's saving the world. And then there's also another Messiah. I don't know if she's antithetical to Sailor Moon, if it's kind of like the yin and yang thing again, or if she is supposed to be on, like, the same side, or if she's just inherently evil. I don't know. But one of the quotes talking about the episodes that have Sailor Moon referenced as the Messiah is that she is incarnated respectively by Sailor Saturn / Mistress Nine, the Messiah of Silence, and by Sailor Moon herself, as they're referencing this, like, entity of the Messiah.
Yes.
And she is, when she's referred to as the Messiah, I think she's standing, like, on the edge of a cliff or something, and there's onlookers, and she is calling on the god Saturn.
Yep.
Actually. And one of the dudes who's looking at her is like, she's the Messiah. Like, oh, well, that's Gnostic.
Yeah, we've got a problem there.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And again, before you take anything that we say, like, talk to God about it. Like, do your own research, read your Bible. Because again, like, we can be wrong. Which, you know, obviously we are Bible-led Christians. But we're still human.
Yeah.
We make mistakes. We mess up sometimes. Sometimes we're wrong about things. So if we are wrong, if there's something you feel like we're false, like we're not portraying correctly, then please correct us. Do it in a respectful manner, please. We're trying to be, like, accurate representations and speak the truth. But again, we're humans and sometimes we make mistakes. Which we will openly, like, if we really feel that we've, like, if God puts it on our heart that we've done something wrong, we've made a mistake, then we'll openly apologize for that because we don't want to lead anybody astray. Because that's a bad thing to do.
Yes.
Very bad sin.
Yes. Take everything that we say kind of with a grain of salt. We don't want you to just believe us, do your own research.
Yes.
The reason why we're putting this information out there is really for people who are kind of tipping on the edge of maybe there's something a little bit suspicious with this specific show or media or personality, and if there is, we want to be there to encourage them in that healthy skepticism and give them useful information so they can formulate their own opinion.
Yeah, and again, we're looking at pop culture through the lens of Christianity. We are Christians. It is the truth. We know this. In fact, so we are putting this pop culture through the lens of truth. But again, we are humans. And so sometimes there'll be mistakes.
Yes.
I don't know, I'm really trying to cover our bases.
Yeah. Well, because we want to...
Because again, people
not forget
in power,
anything.
like, it's very clear in the Bible that people in power, they will be held accountable for every word they say.
Yes.
And our intent is to bring people closer to God and shed light on things in the world that are going on in, like, a Christian sense. And that's, really, it's all about God. We're doing this for God. We're doing this to spread the love of Jesus. And, like, just knowledge of Jesus, I guess.
Yes.
We're trying to help people, essentially.
And what better way to spread the love of God than finding certain things in our media that might give people wrong representations of them? Because this is essentially like taking like pictures of our dads and just painting them as horrible people.
Yeah. Like,
that's how close this is. You would also be upset if it was your father and there's this whole community of people who want to rally around and say, we don't like that guy, we want to make him look bad, when he's done nothing wrong. Yeah.
We're just trying to do our best to be led by God and just live lives that are honoring and glorifying to Him and just accurately portraying Him to people. And, so have mercy on us. Please. And we will, of course, be held accountable for everything and for everything. Just keeping God at the forefront, of course, because that is the most important thing.
Yes.
Yes.
Similar to Father God and to Jesus, well, pretty much to Jesus and the prophecies that God gave to the prophets in the Old Testament is the prophecy that Goku's dad receives in Dragon Ball Z. He receives a prophecy that his son is going to be the savior of the world, yet his son, I think it's Goku, yes, Goku's father-in-law, the dad of his wife is Satan.
Okay.
He marries the daughter of a character who's labeled Oxy-Satan. Or is that how you say it? Ox-Satan? That one was surprising to me. And so you see a lot of, like, that imagery in Dragon Ball where they're, like, driving around cars that have the word Satan plastered on this on the side.
Yeah, at a certain point, they just stop being... They're like, no, we're not even going to hide it anymore. We're just going to throw it in your face.
Like, people are clapping and cheering. They're like, Mr. Satan! Like, his father! And not only that, I think it's Goku's daughter? Yes. His baby, I'm pretty sure it's Goku. I don't know. In the pictures and stuff, it doesn't look like him, but it's probably because I haven't watched the whole show. He has a daughter with the woman that he marries, and they name the baby Pan.
Oh, dear.
The granddaughter of Satan is named Pan.
Yeah, we really couldn't... They really just had to throw all that in our face, didn't they? Mm-hmm. Not even trying to be... secretive anymore.
Yes. If you don't know anything about the deity of Pan, it's kind of where we get, like, the goat man idea of Baphomet.
Yeah.
So
like
it's...
demon creatures.
That whole, like, animal amalgamation that we associate with the devil.
Yeah, that's why I think the symbol for Satanism is the goat.
Yeah.
Off of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, the Baphomet goat. Like, when you take a look at, like, Pan, I believe, is on tarot cards, and just, I mean, you can look up the god anywhere. It's very obviously Satanistic.
Goats are problematic, apparently.
Well,
yeah, they are.
I love my goat.
Obviously.
The next one I have here, as far as Gnosticism, was Full Metal Alchemist. And we touched on it a little bit earlier, because the Witchcraft is in the very beginning, but the amount of Gnosticism in Full Metal Alchemist was insane. Like, I almost consider not even including it, because it's very similar. Like, it's on par with Neon Genesis Evangelion. Yep. And that one's pretty bad. This one is maybe arguably slightly less bad, just because it's not directly in your face.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Although, would you argue that that's worse because they're hiding it?
Yeah, I don't know. It really just depends. But like we mentioned earlier, there's the two brothers, and one becomes disembodied after they try to resurrect their mother, because in alchemy, there is the law of equivalent exchange. So you take energy from one thing to make another thing. It's like the science magic, basically. Manipulating matter through science. I'm going to play the intro here real quick.
However, it is not an all-powerful art. It is impossible to create something out of nothing. If one wishes to obtain something, something of equal value must be given. This is the law of equivalent exchange, the basis of all alchemy. In accordance with this law, there is a taboo among alchemists. Human transmutation is strictly forbidden. For what could equal the value of a human soul?
Yeah, that's literally a Kabbalah symbol. That is, which, I mean, there's so much in alchemy that's like, they hold hands with Kabbalah a lot, which is Jewish mysticism.
Yeah, so, but like, something cannot come from nothing.
Yes.
And
matter cannot come from non-matter without the intervention of some sort of supernatural or divine power.
Yes, and God, when you acknowledge the fact that there is a God, which is the most logical conclusion you could possibly make, you will be led to Jesus in every way, shape, or form. It's just the truth. Yes. Like, every logical, moral, like, real like, thing will lead you to Jesus. Mm-hmm. It's just the truth. Yep. Like, when you, like, just everything. It just leads to Jesus.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That's why they keep attacking the idea of God and his son so very vehemently. Yes. Hey, Christian!
Christianity is the most persecuted religion. And it said that would be the case in the Bible. And, obviously the devil doesn't attack anything that's not worth attacking.
Yeah, well, that's true. In Full Metal Alchemist, like, the whole sector of villains, which they make it very Gnostic, they mix a lot of Christian imagery and Christian... Well, see, there's a priest he's modeled off of a Catholic priest, but they are supposed to be mocking biblical Christianity. And I say that just because I don't really consider Catholics as inside of the Brotherhood of Christ. I think you and I might disagree on that a little bit, but they're trying to mock Christianity nonetheless. And one of their biggest villains is the priest, who supposedly, he can perform miracles, he can raise the dead, he raises, like, dead animals in front of people. Yes, and he is portrayed as, like, he's a swindler. Like, he's taking people's money, and there's actually a scene where he turns water into wine.
So he's just straight up trying to be Jesus.
Yeah. They really portray him as Jesus, except he is supposed to be, he's evil, and he's supposed to be worshipping under the god, Leto, the sun god. It's always the sun god. They're so obsessed with that. The worship of the sun. Oh my gosh. There is a quote, with one of the, I don't know if she's a disciple, because I know that there are disciples in the show. I obviously haven't sat down to watch the entire thing through.
There's a lot, my goodness.
Right, she's a follower of this new religion, Letoism, and she even quotes, "With God, all things are possible," when she's talking to one of the brothers. Yeah, it's so bad.
It's just bad. Like, you're gonna confuse so many people.
Yes.
Because it's painting it... Wait, okay, but it's quoting the Bible. But it's saying all these... But it's
right.
like with evil intent.
They're using so much biblical language, but they're bad.
It's all bad.
Yes.
But it's using biblical language, which is good, but painting it in a bad way.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And making it false and evil.
Which is just Gnosticism.
True. You can't make the Bible false. It's not, unless you alter or edit it, which is why it tells us not to do that. Do not watch this.
Yeah. It's so blasphemous and Gnostic.
It's horrible. It's going to cause confusion.
Mm-hmm. Father Cornello, that's the name of the main villain, and they even refer to him as like, "Oh, Holy Father, oh Father," and he has his own little ring of like adolescent. Well, they're not adolescent boys; they're pretty young, but they're not children who are disciples, and it makes him look a little bit like Jesus. They're doing the thing again where they give them a lot of characters of Christ, but they are the villain, and they just use so much iconography and ideas from Christianity, even referring to Father Cornello as being God's emissary sent to Earth. So he's not even just a prophet, he's supposed to be, he is like the Jesus of this show, except he's evil.
Okay, just avoid these shows first and foremost. If you have watched them, and there is confusion, read your Bible, press into God, because again, it says, seek and you shall find. And God is the only God that, Jesus is the only God that says that. Which means that he knows, he's sure of the fact that you will find that he is the truth.
Mm-hmm.
And the Bible even says, again, like, God's word will be proven true.
Mm-hmm.
No other God or religion says that. They always, like, follow me blindly. And also, all other religions and gods are normal mortal beings that were put on the pedestal of a God.
Yeah.
Jesus is the only God who was just God from the beginning.
Mm-hmm.
All the other ones were made out to be gods.
That's true.
So yeah, just press into the word if you're confused, because you'll find your answers.
Mm-hmm.
That's what God promises.
Yes.
It might take time, but you'll find it. Also, again, if you seek out with your whole heart, you will find me.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of people say, "Well, I sought God out," but were you doing it with your whole heart?
Right.
Were you going in it with the intent of finding God, or were you like, "Oh, I don't believe, so I'm going to do this,"
Right.
with the intent of disproving Him?
Exactly. It's like that prayer where people are like, God, if you're real, make it rain right now. Oh, it didn't rain. Oh, God's not real. That's
Like,
not
your
how
heart
it
is
works.
all...
You're told not to tempt the Lord your God.
Yes.
Even Jesus wouldn't do that, and he was God.
Yeah. In that sense, you're tempting God, and you don't... Because you're not actually searching for Him.
Mm-mm.
You may think you are. You may be, twist it in your mind that you are. You may be trying to get other people to believe you are, but you have a hardened heart and are so convinced that God is not real that you're only seeking Him out to prove that He isn't. Which is why you aren't going to find anything, because you can't prove that God isn't real.
Mm-hmm.
It's literally impossible to prove that He's not real.
Yeah.
Every argument you can make can be disproved.
Pretty much. That's why Christianity is the most logical religion.
If you're going to seek Him, again, you have to do it with your whole heart, and sometimes you have to ask God for like a heart change.
Right. And engaging in this kind of media, I mean, you can't really be giving your full self to God if you're holding on to concepts that are so Gnostic. Like, there is so much demonization of the character of God in Full Metal Alchemist, because it's not just the priest. They even have they have one worse villain whose name is literally just the Father. And he wants to become God, essentially. So in Full Metal Alchemist, the perception of God as the biggest villain, because it is pretty much either the person, they portray him as a guy who really wants to be like God, but he has all the attributes of God, as like saying that he has such divine intelligence, everybody else is very measly to him. He describes himself as perfect goodness and being, and he wants to restore divine order and be like the most superior human.
Interesting.
So because of that, he also practices alchemy. And the entire time that the brothers are looking for something to be able to really resurrect I don't think they're trying to resurrect their mother anymore, but they're trying to get the body back of one of them. Because they ended up bodiless after their weird necromancy experiment. They were looking for this stone called the Philosopher's Stone, and the priest has it. It's what he uses to do his miracles. Mm-hmm. One of the other places that I've heard of that was in Harry Potter, because there's a movie that's Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone, and it's actually like a real principle in alchemy of something that if you take all of these ingredients in alchemy, you can create like this stone that has basically the most power.
Yeah.
So the father is trying to achieve that, which I think he does through the priest, and then he, through the law of equivalent exchange, he steals 50 million souls and gains a ton of power and just becomes like this massive tyrannical monster that reaches up out of the world and meets their depiction of real God, who they explain is just the universe, but also you and also me, because obviously we're gods too, right?
Because,
Yeah, and not to mention that the brothers in the beginning quote, "We're the closest thing to gods there are." because they're alchemists.
Of course.
They're very devout atheists too.
Well, that
the
is their name.
entire show.
Yeah.
He goes up to God, which is just like this eyeball in space, and he's like, "I'm gonna be God," and tries to reach to the eyeball and just devour it. And it's very disturbing.
It feels like they're trying to play off of like biblically accurate angels, but
It
kind of like
is.
they kind of look like eyeballs.
But they're not biblically... The crazy thing with biblically
it's
accurate
not.
angels is that they're not biblically accurate at all. They're just slightly more biblically accurate than angels with wings and halos.
Yeah, no human being knows what an angel looks like.
I mean, excluding the people who saw them and the descriptions of them in the Bible, but
Well,
they
yeah.
always take every single description of
Except for
angels
them.
and mush them together. And that's not... If nature of something is going to be biblically accurate, wouldn't you want it to be biblically accurate?
Exactly.
But it's not. That's a gripe for another day.
Yeah.
But anyway...
Another episode.
The soul of the father, after he dies, goes up into the real heaven where he meets this seemingly female universe, like universal God, who says that she is like the universe and truth and you and it's just very odd, and she damns him to hell.
Thank God our eternity isn't in the hands of the universe.
Yeah. So I'll play a clip of that.
I think you've become superior to humans by removing your 7 desires. Don't make me laugh.
What's wrong with that? I only wanted to obtain perfection. I wanted this world's knowledge for my own. Why should I be punished for that? What's wrong with craving knowledge? What's wrong with seeking perfection? Well, speak. What are you anyway? Do you even have a name?
Who am I? One name you might have for me is the world. Or you might call me the universe. Or perhaps God. Or perhaps the truth. I am all, and I am one. So, of course, this also means that I am you.
But the final ritual in Full Metal Alchemist is the main character, Edward. He also goes into heaven, and he's begging this God for his brother's body back, and behind him is the Kabbalah tree. It's just so obviously there for whatever reason, and the ending of Full Metal Alchemist is just him saying that he's going to give up alchemy if he can have his brother back, and he essentially defeats that God who gives him some riddle, and the God says, "Oh yeah, you've defeated me," and lets him have his brother. And it's very disturbing. It's very odd.
Well,
and he continues life also pretty much as an atheist. He doesn't come back.
Ironic.
He doesn't give a God at all.
yeah, people are fools.
Very much so.
Oh,
so
man.
we mentioned and talked a little bit about the wild sexual implications in anime too.
Yes.
We've touched on that and avoided it, not really, but saved it till the end of the episode because it's very uncomfortable, but it's something that you can't avoid with anime.
Yes, and we'll be as bait as possible.
Yes.
Because, obviously, we're not about to expose other people to that. And, of
But-
course, we've kept ourselves unexposed.
As much as we can.
Yes, obviously, as there are
And
things in the world.
you walk in the FYE now and it's just a bunch of
yeah.
disproportionate figurines.
There's a reason that I don't go into places like that. And there's a reason that I, stay away from certain genres as a whole.
Right. But what makes me really sad is the marketing towards kids. Like
I
Sailor
know.
Moon, the protagonists are middle schoolers.
Yeah.
And I think they age throughout the show, and Sailor Moon gets
They
married
do.
and stuff.
They get married and,
Yeah.
Still, that doesn't change the fact.
No, but it's marketed
targeted
towards kids,
children.
and they're so sexualized. And one of the big problems I think both of us have seen in anime is the incest.
Yes.
And
that's a major problem.
yes, excluding
It's a whole-
homosexuality, incest is just
There's a whole, trope. It's sister complex, brother complex, which is just this really sick, twisted, gross, incestuous, attraction. It's really disgusting.
It's nasty.
It's riddled throughout, Fruits Basket. Fruits Basket, it's kind of hidden because they're all within the same tribe.
Mm-hmm.
Because they have to be family. It's the family of the Zodiac.
Uh-huh. Oh,
So
yeah. So you have to
they are
touch each other.
related in some sense.
Right.
And it's gross, guys. It's gross.
That's so disgusting.
There's also another anime that became extremely popular. I forget what it was called. I don't know if I'm going to pronounce this right, but it's Oshinoko.
Okay.
It is heavily incestuous. There's a lot of weird attraction to people that should not be attracted to, specifically siblings, because of this whole weird thing that happened with their mother and her being murdered, and the guy's sister looking like his mother, and just a lot of messed up stuff. And they're all minors. There's a common theme between the stuff. Minors.
Yes, they're all adolescents. They're all underage.
They're all,
for whatever reason, or they're at least depicted to be underage. I noticed that a lot when I was looking at Sailor Moon, is that they hone in so much on depicting the women as small and fragile and young, when I think there's not really a big age gap between her and her boyfriend. Yeah. But they make her really look like a child.
Make her look like a teenage, like middle school.
Yeah, like
age.
A middle schooler.
Like 13
and
15.
He looks like a college student. Oh. Like he's always in like a suit or a little collared shirt, and he's so tall, and she's supposed to be like, I'm so small. And that is like a weird like fetish thing in like culture, where like Japanese culture, not like specifically, like Americanized. Yes.
If you know what I'm saying. It is extremely popular, like in Japan, for girls to want to be portrayed as like cute. Like very small, very cute, very and it's very much like an Americanized thing, where it's like very like, and they over sexualize it.
Yes, the roots that has in pedophilia is very scary.
Yeah, there's a lot of it.
That's in Sailor Moon, where there is a kiss between a 5-year-old and Usagi's boyfriend, and instead of just being like, oh, like that, I guess he accidentally, so he's kissing Usagi, and then the little girl falls out of the sky and kisses him instead. Oh. And instead of Sailor Moon being like, I don't know, they make her react in a way that sexualizes the interaction. She's like, stay away from my man!
It's a 5-year-old girl.
It's a little 5-year-old girl. It's just not correct. And there are also, like, there's scenes with them, just her and her boyfriend. I do not think they are married. They might be, I don't know. But it's a show for children. And
sexual scenes.
Yes, sexual scenes. Explicitly sexual scenes.
Yes.
More than one. Many of them.
I mean, it's 200 episodes.
Yes.
And ongoing.
And there is also the theme of the incest and homosexuality with her aunts, or I think cousins, Sailor Neptune and Sailor Uranus, who in the original translation are lesbians.
Yes.
And when they made it in English, they made them cousins, but they left in all the intimate scenes. Oh. So they're like, they're cousins in love. It's very odd.
It's gross, to say the least.
Yes. And there's so much in Sailor Moon.
There's a lot. It's too much to cover.
Yeah.
And, obviously we're keeping things,
trying to keep it brief and
clean,
non-explicit.
Not explicit. Obviously, like, I'm sure we'll put timestamps, so if you want to, you can just skip past this.
Yes. But regarding the sexual, ambiguity, there are 3 sailors. One, which, when she is a boy, she is in love with Sailor Moon, but they also have the ability to shapeshift between genders. Oh. So they, they shift a lot between being, a boy band, and they're supposed to be, NSYNC kind of, Backstreet Boys, and then they can also be female sailors. And both versions are very... The men are hyper-feminized because they are women, but they're supposed to be men.
But the women are masculine?
The women are still very just hypersexualized.
Yeah.
It's very odd.
That same thing is sort of present in Fruits Basket with this one character who was horribly abused. Mm-hmm. It's a very dark show, Fruits Basket. But this girl, it is a girl character, but you go the entire series thinking it's a boy. Mm-hmm. Because she goes by a very masculine name. Mm-hmm. She looks very masculine. And it's not till later on that she really is I'm a girl.
Oh, damn. That's scary.
And she's also the villain.
We don't touch that.
And she's also, 19, and I think she ends up with this, old guy that's, 40.
That's not great.
Or
yeah,
35 or something.
Nope.
35 isn't old, but, it's the large age gap.
It's too old for that.
There's a lot of issues here.
There's a lot of, there's not a lot of sexual ambiguity or gender ambiguity in Dragon Ball, but there is definitely references to pedophilia and children, specifically a scene between a grown man and a 5-year-old boy. Ew, where he looks at the little boy and he says that's my type.
and it's
it's disgusting. And another one was
that's a child.
The very perverted old man who is kind of like Goku's mentor, and he is speaking to another girl who wants a Dragon Ball, and every time he has an interaction with a woman, he tries to get them to do something explicit, and he asks her to flash them. Yeah. I'm not going to say how or where, but it's in front of people who are... The girl seems to be underage, and it's in front of other students who are also underage, I think, if I'm remembering correctly.
Yes.
Well, if being made into an embarrassing object is what it takes to get my wish, then okay! I duped them into thinking this bothers me, and I get an easy Dragon Ball!
So, it's very, very gross. Nasty. Back to Danganronpa. I think this is the last one that I have listed that is hypersexual.
And then we'll wrap things up.
Are very, very hypersexual. There is just very sexual dialogue, explicit... There's not a lot of explicit, like, drawings, but it's heavily implied.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, and like I was saying, this is not, like, I don't believe the game is meant for teenagers, but it's very popular with teenagers, and people even younger.
Because people can't stick with their,
right.
required age ranges, or they want to be weird and creepy.
Like, this is, how old do you think that kid is? This is a child.
She's like 11.
Yeah, like a little girl, between 9 and 11, and she's playing, I don't know the name of this character, but she's like a nurse, I think, in Danganronpa. This is another one where it says, like, my family Danganronpa cosplay. This is a parent and a child. The kids in this picture, they can't be older than, like, I don't know. I wouldn't even say that they're 14.
I know, I get with these kids, like, obviously, they're children. They're innocent. They're not doing anything wrong. There's no weird perversion here, but the people who created this game are targeting it towards children. It's
very juvenile.
Exposing these things to them, and then getting them to do things which are inherently not that great.
No.
Allowing predators to come after them. Because there are a lot of implications with, like, again, cosplaying and such.
Yes, the whole cosplay community is very oversaturated. I think we mentioned that in the beginning, too.
The whole shipping thing, that's a whole other discussion. But, like, it's bad, guys. The shipping fandom of every single anime, game, book, it's all garbage. All garbage. They're the most toxic people. They send death threats to people.
Yeah.
They're horribly hateful. It's like, come on. It's a ship. It's two fictional characters.
That will never exist.
I know. And look, I'm all for a good, like, I've had, like, ships, quote unquote ships, and I'm like, oh yeah, I really like them. But if they don't get together, I'm not about to throw a hissy fit and threaten to murder their creator or the voice actors. Right. Yeah. It's so stupid. And it's just horrible.
It's asinine. It's just bad. It's overall bad.
All right. That's all for today's episode.
Yeah, pretty much. With all the animes that we covered, I mean, we covered very popular ones, and we just wanted to, I don't know, give you guys a little bit to think on. Reasons why I say a lot that I don't like anime, that I hate anime, is mainly because of a lot of these themes, and it's just so prevalent. So we went over a lot of really popular ones, but there's some more that we could definitely talk on.
We could definitely make this a series. Mm-hmm. Of course, obviously, this is literally the beginnings of this channel. We're getting a little bit ahead of ourselves, but Yes. I'm obviously on the other side of the spectrum. I am an anime fan. Of course, not these particular animes, because they are horrible, to say the least. But again, there was evil in everything.
Yes.
Not all anime is bad. There are very dark roads that you can go down. You should not.
It's a lot more popular in anime, too, than
very
most
damaging.
media. Yes, that's concerning.
Again, ultimately it's between you and God. Mm-hmm. You need to be praying, reading your Bible. Just always making it about Him and being mindful about, what we are called to do as Christians and, exemplifying Him in the best way you can and being, honoring and glorifying Him in everything that you do. And if you feel convicted, if you feel like you shouldn't watch anime, if you feel like it is a stronghold for you, then don't watch it.
Mm-hmm.
Because go by God, not by us. Because God knows, he's perfect. He knows what he's doing.
Right. And everything that we said in this video, I mean, I would put it through your own checks and balances, cross-reference it with the Bible.
Yes.
Although we know that biblically we're not supposed to have any fellowship with darkness. And so that's why we're making this content, making this video, because we're not making any of this to condemn anybody.
No,
we'd rather
of course not.
You know, show parents or people who are skeptical just information on, or maybe this isn't something that you should be dabbling in, because we're told that, like, witchcraft is an abomination. We're told not to have any affiliations with sorcerers or sexual immorality. And that's what we covered today. There's a lot of it.
At the end of the day, we're trying to help people and grow ourselves in our faith.
Mm-hmm.
We want to be as accurate as a representation of Christ as we can be. We want to just be good influences and help people in their walks with Christ. And that's what it's all about. It's all about God. We want to bring Jesus into everything and educate people and help people. And so again, you know, just use your discernment. Use your discernment. You know, focus on God. Like, whether you agree, whether you disagree, whether you are a Christian who watches anime, whether you're a Christian who doesn't, like, it's all about God. So keep that at the center. I remember that people's convictions are different. People's strongholds are different. You know, I've worked through, in my relationship with Christ, I'm not convicted by watching anime. I'm also very careful about the things that I choose to watch, because I hold them up to the standard of the Bible, and that is what we should do with everything. Hold it up to the standard of the Bible.
Yes, that's the ultimate
Be your
standard
Bible
of what we're talking about
following
here.
Christians.
Yes, yeah,
and so again, like what she said, cross-reference everything with the Bible, all of it with the Bible, with God, with what He says, and be careful.
Yes,
I know that God is not a condemning God; He is a convicting God. And conviction is a gentle reminder that you can do better, and you are worth more.
Yes. Thank you guys for watching. This is the first episode of Operation Wildcard.
Yes, we're very excited to be doing this. It's been a long time in the making.
So we hope that we blessed you guys with all of our information, and we hope that you guys have a good day.
God bless. Bye.
Bye.